I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I've got to talk about it, and that's just, it is what it is. I might be separating from my partner. I also have fallen in love with somebody else while being in love with my partner. However, that is not the reason that we might be separating.
Every time she's married, but she's in love with somebody else. She want to get divorced, but then she's not getting divorced because she's in love with somebody else. She's getting a divorce for something else, something entirely different from her being in love with someone else. You guys, let us watch the story time together. Obviously, this is going to be part one of the story time. We're going to have the second part later on today. So, yeah. So, let's watch these videos together, and I'll see you at the end of the story time.
I get a lot of hate for this, but I've got to talk about it, and that's just, it is what it is. I might be separating from my partner. I also have fallen in love with somebody else while being in love with my partner. However, that is not the reason that we might be separating. Full disclosure, just because my partner is aware of this doesn't mean that I did a lot of shit that's happening right now is because of my, but I want to be completely honest about it. I have to be in order for this to mean something to help anybody else. The reason that we might be separating is because I've discovered that I am polyamorous and my partner might not be. We have been in an ethically non-monogamous relationship for the last year. We both have been exploring our sexuality, and I won't speak on his behalf, but for me, I realized that I am not interested in randomly hooking up with people and then that being it. I'm not interested in having like a friends with benefits. I discovered that I'm interested in connecting with people in a romantic way, perhaps is as another partner, but as a separate partner, or even as a kind of non-labeled situation where there is love and there is connection, and not necessarily an involvement in my everyday life, but the access to that love and the possibility of that love and the presence of that love is there. This is something that my partner and I are working through right now. I don't know which way it's going to go. I don't know how it's going to end, but I wanted to bring it to the internet because what better place to bring such a judge-worthy topic to. Just full disclosure, like, he is fully aware of what is happening. We're having conversations about it. We've been going to a marriage counselor, psychologist for a while. What ultimately comes down to is that you can't force somebody to be polyamorous. You can't force somebody to be non-monogamous. It's just a part of who you are. Because I got married, well, I got with him when I was 18 and he was 25. The age discrepancy there means that as I get older, I'm going to go through changes, which he's been a wonderful supporter of. He's been a great supporter of my career as an entrepreneur, as an artist, as somebody who's more than just a mother, to have my own friends, my own life. And in many, many ways, he's the partner that people would wish for. He is the partner that I would wish for and that I do want to keep. I don't want to lose him as a partner. Ultimately, it comes down to, as I've gotten older, I'm going to be 29 next month, I have discovered this part of myself, and it almost feels like a non-negotiable to be who I am. I don't want to lose my partner over it. I love my partner in almost all ways. He's the perfect partner, but nobody is perfect. Obviously, there's always room for connection, and that's, you know, when you have friends, if you have more than one friend, does that mean that you don't love your other friend enough and that's why you need more friends? I love my partner enough to build a form of a happy life. I also love myself enough to be in this position where I'm trying to decide if that is enough. We only get one life. I'm like literally breaking out in hives. We only get one life, and I'm trying to navigate how to handle this in a way that doesn't ask him to change who he is, because I would never ask that. Again, you can't force somebody to be polyamorous. You can't force yourself to be polyamorous. But ultimately, it's like denying your heart, your sexuality even, in my opinion, to be put in this position and decide, can I live without this? And that's what I'm trying to navigate right now. Again, I love my partner. I don't want to lose my partner, but along with this process and this journey, that is a potential consequence of what might happen. And I know people are going to judge me for that because I do have a beautiful family. I do have a beautiful relationship. I have so many things that I'm so lucky to have, and I feel lucky, and that it might seem that I take for granted. But I don't know if it's enough for me if my partner can't live his full happiness. I'm going to make this a series. If you have any questions that I should start out with, even if it's judgment or judgy questions, let me know. I'm ready to talk about it because I'm tired of keeping it in, I guess. Welcome to my second video. I'm married and I'm in love with someone else too, and I might be separating from my partner, but being in love with somebody else is actually not the reason I might be separating. I posted a video 2 days ago and I gave it time to get some reactions and see what people thought. Unfortunately, the red-pilled neckbeards have found my page, which is probably my fault for posting mostly thirst traps. Oops. I'm responding to this comment just because I thought it was funny. So while I've gotten a lot of expected shaming on there, I'm totally open to it. You don't come on the internet for anything and not think that that's going to happen. I've also got a lot of positive comments, which again, I'm not necessarily looking for, but what I also received, which is kind of surprising and kind of not, because I know I'm not the only person going through this, I'm just the only person being honest about it, at least on TikTok, is a lot of private messages of people saying that they're kind of going through the same thing with their partner, or this is something that they feel like they can relate to and they don't know what to do about it. And it's not good. Like, the situation that I'm in right now is not good. The situation that comes from this like realization is not good for anybody. It's not good for partners. It's not good for you. Got a lot of comments saying all I hear is me, me, me. Well, welcome to my fucking TikTok where I'm talking about me and my life. I'm gonna try to answer some comments that I got in there. Some of them were how selfish I am, how they hope that my partner leaves me and I end up divorced, and that, you know, he deserves better and all this stuff. And honestly, that's between me and my partner. What I'm coming to TikTok with is my truth. There's a lot of things, like I didn't really go into any detail at all in that video. One, because I knew it was going to get interaction and I want more eyes on this, and two, because it's just you can only fit so much in the amount of time that I had. I want to speak on specific topics and I'm not really sure where to start, so I guess I can just start at the beginning. So if you're not familiar, ENM, or ethical non-monogamy, is where you and your partner, at least in what we did, decide that you want to open up your relationship to be intimate, if you know what I mean, with other people. Now that can be random people, it can be, you know, on special occasions, it could be on a case-by-case basis, but typically you don't get feelings involved in those situations. You can do it with like a friends with benefits type of dynamic. Everybody's a little bit different. As long as you're having open communication about it, I don't really feel there's a wrong way to do it. I'm also not the expert in it. There are some really good resources out there, such as Polysecure, which my partner and I have both read, and it goes into the kind of the dynamic between human relationships and how that has evolved as society has evolved regarding religion. Also how your childhood plays into attachment types. So if you have an anxious attachment type, if you are secure attachment, or maybe you're a little bit of both and you're kind of a disorganized attachment, that's what I was thinking about. And again, I'm not the expert in this, so I highly recommend everybody does their own research, but there is a whole world out there of people who are not monogamous, and I'm not the only one. Me and my partner are not the only ones. Actually, we belong to a club where there are people who would surprise you that are non-monogamous. I'm gonna film a video right now going into the story of where my relationship started with this other partner. And it's not pretty. There's just some trigger warnings of physical, like when you hurt somebody else, physically, that was done to me. There's mental abuse. There's all sorts of different things in there, and I just want to put this video as kind of like the blanket trigger that what I experienced with this other partner was not healthy. It was not good. Thankfully, because I have communication with my partner and with close friends who are a little bit aware of the situation, specifically like my best friend and just some other people in my life, I was able to get out safely. But this is why communication is so important, especially as a woman. If you are thinking of going into whether you're, just straight out cheating, having an affair on your partner, it can be really hard if you don't have anybody to talk to about this, and you can end up in a situation where you could get really, really hurt. And because abuse happens in a way where you're not always aware that it's abuse. Obviously, I'm never going to be one to victim blame, but some people do, and you wonder, like, why do people stay? Why do people keep being with that person? It's because you don't realize that that's what's going on. And so while I had this kind of discovery about myself, and while I do love this other partner, I was in an abusive relationship with them, and my partner that I've been with been married for 8 years almost 9 years, I think, and we've been together for 10 years this month. I've never been in that type of relationship again. I've been with him since I was 18. Fortunately, I have not ever been in a toxic relationship, so this was my first experience with that. I'm going to be 29 next month. I'm not saying that everybody's been in an abusive relationship, but I feel a lot of people have been in dynamics where it wasn't healthy, and I fortunately have never had that experience. I also wanted to address that when I say that I made mistakes, this is kind of part of that. I'm not blaming myself for being abused. I am blaming myself for ignoring it, I suppose, ignoring what everybody else was telling me, and now being in a situation where, yes, this dynamic in this relationship with this person, even though it was not really a relationship, it was more of a, when I see you, we're together, it's kind of like a bubble type situation. I was not listening to anyone around me. Maybe it was limerence, maybe it was part of my disorganized attachment style. I come from a childhood of trauma and abuse and narcissistic father, just a lot that I can go into, but there's really no need, in my opinion. Just as long as you know that this person made my brain comfortable because they displayed behaviors that I grew up in and that I was shown was love, even though that's not the type of love I've ever received from my partner. And I recognize healthy, communicative, and just true love and support in all ways. This person sort of, for lack of better terms, scratched that itch in me, and my brain went back into its kind of default pattern. Also, there's habits and personality traits that this person has, the other partner has, that I had to unlearn in myself. The avoidant behaviors, not the physical abuse, but the manipulation and all of that. That's how I grew up. That's how I was shown you get what you want. And fortunately, I'm with a partner who supported me going to therapy. We attend therapy together. He also attends therapy. So, he's always learning and figuring out how he can support me coming from a situation like that. But ultimately, the work is on me, and I owe it to my partner to do that. And I owe it, most importantly, to myself to always be better and take care of myself. But I saw something in this partner that I realized I could have been that way. I could have been this person, and I chose not to. I choose not to every day. I've learned skills to combat those behaviors that I instinctively wanted to do in the past, that now I'm proud to say it's not even a problem anymore. Anyway, I'm gonna start making some videos from the beginning. If you have specific questions, comments, judgment, let me know. I would prefer if the neckbeards, religious fanatics, and all of those just really didn't even bother, because you're not gonna hurt my feelings. only you can hurt your feelings. And I'm at a place right now where I'm obviously coming to the internet and I know what I'm walking into. So I guess if you really feel the need to go out of your way to be nasty, then that's on you. And as they say, I will pray for you. Part 3 of I'm married and I'm in love with someone else too, but that's not the reason why I might be getting divorced. So I'm going to start at the part where we decided that we wanted to try out non-monogamy. I explained what all of this stuff is in my previous video. So we had kind of been discussing the idea of going to a club that's in a town that's not the town that I live in. It's like a members only type of thing, and it is technically a schmex club. But I'm not a very, I guess, that type of person, and neither is my partner, but we thought it would be good to be introduced to community first, meet some like veterans, I guess you could say, and kind of do some research, I guess, as well as the counseling that we've been going to, where we do have a psychologist that we do counseling with as a couple that specializes in non-monogamous relationships, but we wanted to meet like real people. We discovered like, okay, like I don't think that we want to be swingers necessarily. Swinging is different as well as the other different types that I've talked about. Swinging is kind of your partner is in the room with you, or like in close proximity mostly, at least to what we've seen, and you kind of like swap spouses, you swing spouses. We didn't ever do that. We mostly, it's weird because when you're at these clubs, there's people literally like just on the couch, in front of you or whatever doing it. And then I discovered also I'm not really into voyeurism. Nothing wrong with it, but I just am pretty shy, which is weird because I'm coming on the internet with like this like topic, but whatever. It's actually helped me become more comfortable, even though I've discovered that I'm not into these things. Having the ability to decidedly say like I am not into that, whereas before I didn't have any experience with that, and I don't think you need to experience these things, but I'm glad that I did because I feel more confident in my preferences and my sexuality as well. I discovered quickly that I'm not interested in hooking up with random people. My partner also discovered that like the prospect for him is nice, but he's not really interested in it either, like as a priority. Neither of us were like, we're like, maybe like if we were at a club or something, I don't even know, like I can't even see myself doing that, but I don't know, if somebody irresistible was there, then like sure. And that's kind of when I started being like, we're still gonna go to the club, we still have this membership because we like the people that we met there, but we didn't participate in any of the actual activities that were going on there. And both him and myself, like I have always had more of a preference towards women, so I have some friends who are women who I have hooked up with in the time that we decided to be non-monogamous. But really that was the extent of it. The communication was always great. I'm going to start talking about in the next video how that realization of me not being interested in just hooking up with people led me to a situation where I was like, oh, I found somebody that I want to hook up with, and how the first time that I decided that, it turned into something much deeper, which is the reason that I got into this situation in the first place. So I will film the next part right now.
Kindly share your thought about the story time down in the comment section, respectfully. As always, right? So, a husband wanted them to be seeing other people, like kind of an open relationship thing. They want to see other people have sex with other people, but then they're still married. Okay, but then I feel like they did it, and she doesn't like the fact that she has to be doing with friends with benefits or random people and all of that. She's kind of person that wants to have feelings, wants to be with somebody because I want to be with this person. So that's why it's not going to work. But the man, on the other hand, he wants, I want to see other people. You can see other people. Like it's an agreement. It's like an open relationship. It's an agreement. You can see other people, I can see other people. But then we're still going to be in a relationship, we're still going to be in love with each other, we're still going to be married. There's nothing wrong with exploring your sexuality, trying different things and seeing what you like, because most of the time you might not know what you like until you try them, right? But I feel like doing them before marriage is actually the best because you would not know what you like, and if you eventually get married, because there's like some people, some couple that probably the man has already been cheating too much. He has been cheating too much, and the woman is tired. All of a sudden, he's saying, "Let's open the relationship. Let's see other people." You've already started seeing other people. So what is that? If you know you cannot handle being with one woman, you have to be sleeping with so many women and all of that. Explore that thing before so that you can be with a woman that will also want to be in that relationship with you. There's some women as well that they don't want to be with a man. They want to be with so many men at the same time, and they can handle that. These are the kind of that is a perfect match in my own opinion. It's not like you're going to want something, but then you're going to go and look for a woman that you want to mold to be the kind of woman that you want. Doesn't make sense. I can't wait for her to continue this part of the story. So, you guys, what's your take on this one? Let me know your thought down in the comment section while we wait. I'll see you all at part 2 of this story time.